Hi, it's Ann O'Brien here to talk with you about leaky boundaries. Have you ever felt like your boundaries were, being invaded, or whether you really needed to work to set boundaries in a certain situation, whether that be family, work, friends, romantic boundaries? I have been there, done that. Used to be a real challenge for me. It used to be that I was quite lost, in fact, because I was feeling everybody's stuff. That's kind of how I got into my work. And then once I learned how to do what I do now, once I learned how to ground myself and clear other people's energy and fill in with my own energy, which is a beautiful thing to do, I actually started, I think I had a harder time than I did prior to that for a while, for actually a chunk of years, because I was more aware, right? I was aware of this person's energy in my space, or I was aware that I didn't feel like myself. Once I started to get a glimpse of what it felt like to feel myself, I was hyper aware of when I didn't. And so I started to get like, I got to set boundaries. I have to put up protection around me. And I even learned psychic protection techniques, and I even taught them for many years. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've used them. I think once in the last 2 years, I used one of those techniques when I had to get out of my car to pee in a rough neighborhood because I was stuck on the freeway for too long. But that's another story. They come in handy once in a while. But for the most part, we don't want to put up walls in life. And I actually discovered there's 3 secrets to healing and fixing your boundary issues if you have them. If you want to learn how to implement healthy boundaries for yourself and you've been feeling stuck or confused about how to do that, I'm going to share with you what's worked for me. So the first thing I learned is that I realized I was the one allowing my boundaries to be invaded most of the time. Meaning I had not set up, I had not communicated to others what worked for me. I hadn't set things up in a way that gave a clear message to anybody else. So where somebody else was just being human and being themselves, I felt invaded because I expected them to read my mind perhaps about how I wanted to be related with. So this happened, I remember once years ago with a friendship. This was a woman who was on actually a spiritual path similar to mine. And we were friends, and sometimes she would call me up when she was really going through something, and I'll take it as a compliment. I had a good listening ear, but she would just start talking, and sometimes it was like an hour later, I was like, I barely got a word in. She just was going on and on and on, and I got more and more angry. But did I tell her? No. I didn't know how to. I was in my 20s. I didn't know how to say this isn't balanced, and I'm sure she was not at the most mature place either. Hopefully she's learned a few things. I know I have since then, so we all learn. But looking back, it's like, oh my God, that would have been the obvious thing to do, is say, either, politely, excuse me, I need to go, and just stop it, or tell her, excuse me, this has been a lot, I don't know how you would say it, maybe not in the middle of her rant, but another time, I need to talk to you about things feeling more balanced between us. That would be a healthy conversation. The other time I remember, just an example would be with clients. I remember in my early years of having a business, I would get upset because sometimes I would make appointments with people back when I did in-person sessions and they wouldn't show up. And so I would feel like, whoa, this is, my time that I had invested into driving to the office, and, had to say no to I couldn't have taken another appointment at that time, whatever. It's obvious now, right? But at the time I was like, what do I do? I'm so annoyed, but I want the client. And it's like, okay, what I learned was just take their credit card at the time of booking, just like a spa does. I mean, this is commonly done now, but back then it was a real stretch for me to ask for that, a real stretch for me even to think of that. And then once the idea came, it was like, okay, making sure I felt like I was okay to say it, kind of had to take a deep breath and muster up my courage to say I need to take a credit card to confirm your appointment. And then all of a sudden people showed up. I didn't have the no-shows. And I had to get to a point where I wasn't triggered, where I could just ask for it. This is how I do business. And be friendly about it. And nobody challenged it. It's kind of funny how what was such drama before I communicated clearly what would work for me became just a non-issue after the fact. So those are just 2 examples. So if you're in a situation where you need to set boundaries, maybe it's with your family and you're going on vacation and you can only take so much, rather than get to the point of too much and then start being passive aggressive with each other, why don't you clearly state, I can do a visit of 3 days, or, we can visit Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday, I'm going to, I need to work on Friday, or whatever you need to do, so that you keep it in balance for yourself as an act of self-care. It requires having the self-worth to do it, you know, so that may take some courage, that may take some time, but I hope this was a light bulb for you of you can set your boundaries. It's nobody else's job to do it. With that said, if you're in a situation where it's really unhealthy, where the other person, even after you've communicated, is repeatedly going beyond your boundaries or asking you to go beyond your boundaries, then you might need to lovingly step away from that relationship. But most of the time, with most of the people I work with most of my own experiences, you can set a healthy boundary and people will honor it, and people want to. All right, so part 2 is I got my body to a healthier place. So the second tip, hold on a minute. I just had an experience of exactly the thing I'm sharing about. My daughter just came to the door. As I'm recording this, it's 8 minutes before 12, which is the time that I'm taking over mama duties and my husband's going to work. He's out there with her and they came home 8 minutes early and I had my door cracked. She just came on the door. And in the past, I might have gone, oh no, I've lost my time. Like, what am I going to do? I'm supposed to work and now she's here and I can't make my video, and I would have created all this drama. And now I'm like, just lovingly pause the video, go to the door and say, I need 8 more minutes. I'm making a video and I'm going to see you after. And she has a big smile on her face and I close the door and lock it. It's that easy, really. Okay, so I want to give you the other 2 tips. Tip number 2, if your body is not at the healthiest, you know, you don't have to be perfect, but if your body is carrying around a lot of toxins or bugs, and if you feel numb in your body, then you're going to be more vulnerable to boundary invasions, because there's already a boundary invasion going on 24/7 in your body. It may be parasites, it may be chemicals, it may be heavy metals, it may be other toxins, it may be bacteria, virus, whatever. But if you have stuff in your body, a lot of gunk in your body, you're going to be more vulnerable because there's less of you home, and the energy that you're vibrating at, for lack of a better word, may be more negative. So I believe that toxins, for example, are attracted to negative emotions, and they go along with negative emotions. Heavy metals go along with negative emotions. So like attracts like. If you're in a negative emotional state, it's harder to set a healthy boundary, right? Because you're not in self-love, you're not in self-worth, and you're not centered, and you're not clear enough to see it coming and be proactive. I have also found that when you eat foods that are numbing, so when I used to eat a lot of carbs and a lot of sugar, I had more dullness in my consciousness. And at that time, it was hard for me to really feel clear and to, again, really be home in my own head, be home in my own body to decide what was working for me, because I was sort of feeling blurry, and then I can feel like I'm getting invaded. So getting your health online will help your boundaries. And I'm not going to go on. I've made other videos about that. You can look on my YouTube page. There's one, I think, Can You Trust Your Body's Intuition, which was more recent. There's also on my website, on the podcast page, if you go to AnnO'BrienLiving.com and look under podcasts, I just released a podcast called Improve Your Health by Healing Mind, Body, and Soul with Louise Schwartzwalter, which is great about this subject. If the body thing, lights up for you, is something you need to pay attention to. So that was step 2, the second thing that I have learned. The third thing that I have learned that has really helped me to set healthy boundaries and to let go of the need for protection is I let go of a misconception that my feelings and my vulnerability and my sensitivity was the problem. I used to think it was the problem. And I know a lot of the people that come to me, they're like, I'm so sensitive, how do I protect myself? And it's like, thank God you're so sensitive. The fact that you're so sensitive is a gift, because it means your feelings are going to always tell you what's good and what's right and wrong for you. Your feelings are going to lead you towards pleasure. They're going to express when something's not working. There's no emotion that's a problem. If it's your own emotion, it's there for a reason. And if you only let it move in an appropriate way, it will lead you to a breakthrough. So if you're feeling angry, go ahead and let yourself feel it, and then notice the message it has for you. Anger indicates a boundary violation. And so again, it's usually you have allowed that, for yourself. But if you feel angry, you need to say, okay, this obviously doesn't work for me because I'm angry about it. What else does work? And then communicate that to the world. Change your life, or make new habits so that you start to do what works for you, and you only allow what works for you, and you participate in what works for you, and not the things that make you angry. We can't control the world. But we can just be so much more proactive than we're being. If you're feeling sad, that's a message too. If you're feeling joy, let yourself feel it all the way. That's a message. That's the, direction you're going to go towards. And pleasure actually brings you into your body, by the way. So the more you can let yourself feel good, your feeling is such a gift because it will protect you. It'll protect you in all kinds of relationships. It'll let you know who to date, and who you want to be friends with, and which job you're going to say yes or no to, etc., etc. My daughter's knocking on the door. Is there anything else I need to say about boundaries? I don't think so. Okay, I'll post it in the comments if so. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate your time and interest. Again, I'm Ann O'Brien. You can find me at AnnO'BrienLiving.com. I do private clairvoyant coaching sessions, programs, and have lots of free resources on there as well. So have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.